Greetings! Welcome once again to Oberon's Outlook on the Emotional Exchanges, a weekly forecast by tarot for the Zodiac signs, telling them what emotional situations, energies, ups or downs are going on in their life for this next week. And that week starts tomorrow, February 10th, and goes through next Thursday. So here we are, and we're ready to start right away. First, we're going to give our word of the week and then go into those signs readings. So we're covering the air signs first. These are signs like Gemini, Libra, and Aquarius. And their word for the week is impediment. So keep that in mind this week. Think about what impedes your emotional flows, what kind of situations you are blocked from, and how you can get around those. So let's do our reading for air signs and keep in mind our word, impediment. And I'm shuffling those cards. And a cut. And my 3 cards. I have the 5 of coins, the 5 of discs, upright. And I have the King of Cups reversed. And then I have the 4 of Wands reversed. So what do these cards mean for you air signs? Five of coins. Perhaps one of those impediments is that you are letting things go emotionally without realizing what you still have here. That there's an experience of loss, but getting through that loss really depends on recognizing everything you still have. So this is an emotional bad week for you in a way. The King of Cups also sounds like maybe there is a definite relationship downturn. It may be the principal relationship or a principal relationship. It may be an important relationship. It looks to me like there's somebody who's acting really carelessly and cruelly, and those are situations you are dealing with. I'm also seeing the reversed 4 of Wands, and this tells me too that maybe you're going to hear some really not cool news about somebody else's relationship too. Maybe it's a relationship that you are involved with. Maybe it's children or parents or close friends. But that relationship is also bringing a certain amount of difficulty to lives around it because they may in fact be breaking up or suffering some severe situations right now. It's not good. So keep in mind that word of impediment, because these things all look like impediments towards people, resolving differences and moving forward with their lives. And that's what air signs need to do, is figure out how to remove those impediments and move through those situations. So that's what we have for the air signs of Gemini, Libra, and Aquarius. And now we're going to move on to our water signs. Water signs are signs like Cancer and Scorpio and Pisces, and they tend to be emotional signs, and they tend to have maybe a little bit stronger resonance with those kind of things. So their word of the week is meditation. And that's a pretty cool word. For water signs, they do have those calming things about them. So I want water signs to consider what things they can pause and think about rather than just making blind decisions. So that's your word of the week. And now let's do your reading. we have our 3 cards. Prince of Wands upright. High Priestess reversed. And the Princess of Swords reversed. So what are these cards? So the reversed Prince of Swords almost seems to correlate to the upright Princess of Swords. Prince of Swords. There's some extreme strife situations happening for some of these water signs today, and they will need to do that meditation. There are things here that are really aggravating situations to them, and that maybe they're finding a lot of stress in their lives. If it's falling into the realm of relationships, it may be that there's some serious difficulties in communication and also just problem solving in general. So I want all of you water signs to remember, to meditate a little bit before you get into those actual situations if you can. The reversed High Priestess also is a little bit, no, that's upright. I'm sorry. No, it is reversed. And it was, my goodness, reading these all wrong. This was actually the upright Prince of Swords. So this really is saying something different. But it is talking about those stressful situations. But what it's indicating, I think, is that you're really going to have to move with them in a more positive way. So what will happen instead is it'll be like you are actually going to cast, or more likely to cast, meditation aside. And so that's maybe why that word came up, because emotional signs can really be quick on the draw, but then when they just move forward, they may move forward without a level of intellect that they need. So I'm still saying pretty much the same thing, but maybe slightly different. Now the High Priestess is reversed, and what I'm seeing there is that there's a sense too that in our relationships, we're upset because our secrets have been revealed, or we're not finding out the secrets that we want. And some of that has to do with our primary relationships, I believe. And I'm thinking that this is some of the source of some of the communication problems. And so therefore, water signs strong need to be defiant in the face of that. Your final card is the Princess of Swords, who is reversed. And that really is that corollary to that. This Princess of Swords is telling me that you could complicate matters by really being tacky and saying the wrong things and really just sort of being your worst self rather than your best self. So keep in mind the word of meditation. Avoid, your tackiness. You're not going to resolve some of your problems if you have these serious arguments and situations with people. Try to resolve them in a better way. That's what I have for water signs. So now we're going to move on to the fire signs. And fire signs are signs like Aries and Leo and Sagittarius. And those signs tend to be more direct and more pioneering and more willful. They're strong signs of will. So their word of the week is premonition. And that's kind of interesting because meditation fit with the water signs. Premonition sort of fits with the fire signs, but it's also sort of a moment of pause too, like meditation was, because once you receive that vision, you have to consider what it really means and how to apply that wisdom. So that's something we want you to think about too, fire signs, that if you're having these meditative experiences, you need to really analyze them to some degree to figure out what exactly is going on there. All right, so moving ahead with our reading. We want fire signs to use their willpower in beneficial ways for their relationships and their emotional currents. I'm cutting the deck. three cards. I have the moon reversed. I have... No, that's reversed. Wait a minute. Yes. This gets a little confusing here. It's been a long day. The Prince of Discs again, reversed. And then finally the Seven of Wands, and that one's upright. So the moon reversed sort of indicates for fire signs something kind of icky, something a little bit gossipy or scandalous happening, and maybe we're having to apply that energy of premonition to it to consider. The moon is about fortune, but maybe we're going to have to really try to perceive what's going on there, because it may be like I said, with the water signs, the secrets being revealed. Well, with the moon, like that too, there's sort of a little bit of sense of that too, but it maybe is more on your part, fire signs, that you're finding out about some interesting deceptions that you weren't aware of. And so you're going to have to maybe use some of your premonition powers to discern that. But that's going on. That may change your emotional relationships with a number of people. I'm also seeing this reversed Prince of Discs, and I'm thinking that that wasn't in the last reading. That was the Prince of Swords. I'm so sorry. That what this card does reversed is tell us that somebody's really hard to reach, and you're going to have to really work on reaching them. And some of that could be that they're just not physically there, but I'm also thinking too that there's a stubbornness and there's a willful need to be adverse in that relationship with you, or that maybe they really have some issues that they're not talking about with you and that they should try to resolve. And I'm also thinking too that with the upright Seven of Wands, what I'm thinking is that to some degree this comes to a clash of wills, but you're the one who's better suited for this. And I think you're the one who's going to be basically able to show your point, stand up for yourself, hold your ground, and maybe illustrate and educate the situation. And I do think it is connected to the scandal there too, that it's really about you trying to set the record straight, because these things are lies or highly blown up. So once again, you may be relying on what you sense, your premonitions, to get you through some of that emotional current. But I do think that it's a little similar to the water signs, but it's also really about challenging some of those conceptions and how they affect those relationships. So now we're going to close out our evening with the earth signs. Where did I put those? Those are here. And earth signs are signs like Taurus and Virgo and Capricorn, and they tend to be more stubborn in certain ways because they're more sure of themselves, and they sort of tend to be harder to move or to convince to do certain things. Not universally, but that's some degree that's happening. And their word of the week is initiation. And so what I want earth signs to consider is that many things we do within our emotional lives can initiate or reinitiate ourselves to those processes, and that each day is a sense of a new initiation and a new time to strike new and to remake yourself, recast yourself. So whatever happens emotionally, try to keep that thought in mind. And we're going to go ahead and shuffle those cards. and drawing our 3 cards. Well, we had a lot of princes in our readings tonight. We have another one now. We have the reversed Prince of Cups. Sorry about that. The reversed Two of Pentacles or discs. And then the reversed Chariot. So what does that mean? So the reversed Prince of Cups seems to indicate that earth signs may have some significant problems in a relationship. They may feel like putting a relationship on hold while they want to, consider things going on there. It may not necessarily be a primary relationship, or it could be one of several primary relationships, but you are going to have to do this. I get the feeling here too that this is one of those things where somebody wants to dig in. It might be you digging in, but it's really about resolving some serious emotional problems that are happening. Now your next card is the reversed Two of Discs. And this one too sort of sounds like there's a little bit of some balance issues going on. It's not quite as extreme as the cups over there with that whole relationship thing. Just really, does seem to be in trouble. But here with the Two of Discs, you're balancing those things, but you have other things to balance too. And so that's what's going on with earth signs, is that they're not always able to compartmentalize and just focus on one thing. So sometimes they really have to balance money issues, children issues, education issues, job issues, and of course, romantic or, emotional issues. But that's what you're going to have to do this week. The final card, though, is a little bit more powerful. The Chariot does seem to think that you're going to drive through this. A lot of this is really about showing your own initiative and your own sense of what you can do to bring things to the consideration, to those discussions or those processes. It may be too that maybe a relationship was ending while a new one was starting to begin, and maybe that new relationship really is going to pick up steam, and maybe the relationship that was ending is already ending. That could be possible for some of us. I'm getting that feeling there that some of us earth signs are on the verge of starting something new. So that's what I'm seeing there. So remember, that too is a sense of initiation. So if that is happening for you, keep grounded with that. Remember to try to reserve balance. Until next week, this has been Oberon's Outlook on Emotional Exchanges. And this reading covered tomorrow, the 10th, through next Thursday, which is the 16th. This review will happen again next Friday, so we hope to see you then.